Live on Facebook, here we are.
Yeah, they always have that Zoom thing that goes across and no one ever really kind of knows when it starts. So we're probably live now. Good
We are, it
morning,
says live on Facebook on my screen.
There you go. So good morning, everybody. This is Marianne Bailey with OnlineTechLessons.com and the Hip Senior Magazine, which is at thehipsenior.com. We have a new directory as well, so be sure to head over there and check that out. But in the meantime, we are live with Penny Leese, who has discovered a career here in her second life, I call it. And we want Penny to tell us all about it. So Penny, hello.
Hi, nice to meet you again.
It's good afternoon for you, isn't it?
Yeah, a good freezing afternoon here in Scandinavia.
All right, where in Scandinavia are you? Tell
Right,
everybody.
I'm in Copenhagen in Denmark, but I'm actually British English, but I've been here about half my life.
Okay.
So I speak Danish and English, but I'm still very, very English.
Penny, before we get started about your other career, what led you there? What made you leave England and head over there?
What made me leave England? I'd actually, I was designing actually for a company called Sasha London that had a chain of shoe stores in California and on the East Coast. I think they had 26 stores and they had 16 stores in England. And I was actually really pretty burnt out and completely burnt out. And then I went on holiday to Mallorca and I met a Danish guy on holiday in Mallorca. And I thought, well, my life, I really need to, why not do something different? So I went over for Christmas and I just never went back.
I wonder what the statistics are of how many people end up in different countries, cities, and states just following somebody out of love,
Yeah, but I think also I'd reached a stage where I was just going to do the same job again and again and again for different people. And I had actually applied for jobs in the States to try and get a bit further up in my career. It wasn't so easy for women in those days.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'll start from the beginning again. Why not have a fresh start completely? And it really worked.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
And so then things have kind of slowed down and tell us that story that you told me that's in the post on the Hip Senior.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trained as a fashion designer and a shoe designer, and I've worked as a shoe designer for about 30 years. And then there was Corona, and then also I was sort of like overtaken by younger people because my boss, the CEO of the company, he was only about 36, and I think he really didn't like that I was much, much more knowledgeable than he was. That I had a better technical background. And so I gradually got more and more of my work. I was freelance, but I was contracted. More and more of my work was taken over by somebody who was much younger, who was much more statistics savvy rather than product savvy. So I gradually got eased out and then my contract got cut down to half. But at the same time, it was an exclusive contract. And then I had not much work to do. I did a couple of projects for a sailing company to do some sailing type shoes. And then I didn't really have very much to do. And at the same time, like a lot of American people, I actually have a therapist who's British, who I meet on Skype. And I said, I'm really depressed. I've not really got much work. I've been struggling to go for interviews for things, but nothing's really happening. And she said, well, what do you really want to do? If you could be anything in the world, what would you do? I said, okay, I want to be a supermodel, which is like a bit unrealistic, but okay, I want to be a supermodel. I did a little bit of modeling when I was a fashion student, and I did hair modeling in my 20s and 30s in England. And then after that, not really much more. And then I thought, well, she said, go for it, Penny. So I sat down on my computer and I searched and searched and searched for model agencies. And like, unless you're about 5'11" tall and like this skinny, you can't get any work. And then I suddenly found, and there's a lot of scammy places as well. They're asking for like pay for portfolios. And then I suddenly found a Danish website called b.oldunity where they were looking for models over 50. And they were people who ran it were both models, ex-models over 50. And I applied And I sent some pictures and they said, yeah, you can be on our website, but you need some photos. So then I gradually started searching a bit more and thought, well, I need a portfolio. Then I found out that there's something called TFP modeling. I think it's time for photograph. I can't remember what it means. It basically means that you as a model, you don't pay the photographer and the photographer doesn't pay you, but you must credit each other if you use the photos and you mustn't use them commercially. So I found one. He was a retired photographer. He was about 70, ex newspaper photographer. And he helped me and he said, I can do your photos. And I said, I don't wear makeup. I like, it makes me itch. I never wear makeup except for lipstick. And he said, that's okay. He said, one of my friends is doing a makeup course and we're doing makeup for older women on that day in the city centre and she'll make you up.
Women?
It was a special course for general makeup, like they had a stage makeup day and a teenage makeup day, and they had a mature women makeup day. She herself was about my age. So she caked me in with all this makeup and we went outside and took a few photos. And then I went home and then I went to his studio and took some indoor shots. And I sent them to the model agency and they put me on their books. And then Corona came.
I'm so proud of you. I've known Penny for, I don't know, 15 years now, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think this is the happiest that I've ever seen you. So I'm just so proud of you that you just decided one day to go do it.
Go do it, yeah. And then it just sort of like escalated from there. I mean, actually through the model agency, I've not had any jobs, but then I've met people who said, oh, you can try and do this. There's a website for film extras. And then I started doing a little bit of film extra work where you get like coffee and tea and you have a fun morning and then a little bit more. And then I found out that there is a website group for film extras. And then there's a website group for actors who don't act, but actors just do film extra work. And then I found out it just sort of grew and grew and grew. Then I found out there is a Facebook group for TFP models over 40. And there's photographers who want to photograph women who are over 40 or men over 40. So I found another photographer and had a few more pictures put up. And then somebody else contacted me and said, can you do some photos? And then I did a student film for a first-year student who knew really not much about photography at all. He wanted a sad old lady to look miserably on her past life. And I said, okay, if I do that for you, then you take some photos for me on studio. So he took some photos for me and he didn't really know what to do. And I said, yeah, look, I've got this really bright flower dress. Let's have a red background. But the red background had run out, so we did orange, really bright colors. And then that got put up and it's just gradually grown. And now I'm really busy.
That is awesome.
Having lots of fun.
So, okay, you said you're in Denmark, right?
Yeah.
I always get that confused. I'm like, somewhere up there.
It's sort of north and cold. It's where they have hygge and where they have all these Scandinavian noir TV series.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we see them here, but so tell me something about the speaking about TV. When you look at advertising there, do the commercials there have people over 50 generally in their commercials, other than like here in America? If you watch TV, I mean, I'm not a big fan of watching TV, but because I work all the time. But when I do watch TV, the only commercials that I ever see that have seniors in them are for senior type medicines, like to reduce blood pressure and stuff like that. Normal everyday products, you hardly ever see seniors in them. So is that different there, or is that still the case there?
It's changing, and also it's a more feminist world than America. We also have less TV advertising because we also have state-run channels. At the moment, there's quite a lot of older women appearing on TV and appearing on magazine covers, but they tend to be like celebrities who were famous 10 years ago who've got older, who are still beautiful. They're not using so much unknown people for advertisements.
Well, now they
I
are
mean,
now
but
the
I've
penny then
actually
of the
been
scene.
turned down. I'm 66. I've been turned down for adverts because I look too young and I don't look like wretched and old enough. So no, it's not just for medicines and things like that. They're also looking for like cozy grannies for like family settings. Also at the moment, because of Corona, they're also looking for couples and families that can be filmed together.
I can't imagine you ever being cast as a cozy granny.
No, that's why I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a job actually I didn't get because I wasn't old enough. It's for a Scandinavian cosmetic brand called E-Cooking, which is all organic, brilliant brand. And I was put in as a shortlist for them, and then they chose women who are actually over 70, and I saw the finished results, and they were amazing. So they said, look, you'd have been really good for it, but you're actually not old enough, because they wanted women between 70 and 80.
Right.
I was shortlisted number 2 for the health authorities for a vaccination program. And again, they actually, because we get free vaccinations after 65, as you say, medical.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't look old enough. They chose somebody who was a bit more cozy granny-like.
Okay. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with cozy granny. That's just not Penny.
Yeah, and there's also, I think it's more encompassing now. I mean, I also see that people want women of all sizes. Most of the stuff I do is actually film extra work for Netflix series and things like that, or local series, some student work. They're actually tending more now to look for people who don't look Scandinavian. They want, because we have
I'm
a
moving to
growing immigrant
Scandinavia and becoming
community.
an actress.
Hmm?
I said I'm moving to Scandinavia then and becoming a model
Yeah,
or an
they're looking
actress.
for sort of people who have Middle Eastern looks or Asian looks or African looks. They're gradually becoming less provincial and less Nordic about things, more encompassing. Yeah.
That's great. So what's upcoming for you?
I'm doing a Facebook campaign on Sunday, which is for poke bowls or poke bowls, a Scandinavian chain called Ollie Ollie, which my 27-year-old daughter thinks is amazing. And I have to be an impatient woman who's wearing brightly colored clothes, who's sitting at home waiting for her delivery, getting really impatient. And then the door rings, and then the bowl arrives, and then I'm happy. And for which I get a voucher for 10 bowls, and the bowls are about $15 each.
And for everybody that's here in Ohio, if you know Coral Life or some of those restaurants like that, that's what the bowls are.
I mean, I didn't know what it was until last week, until my daughter said she wanted to order these as a takeaway. And I said, well, what's this? I've not heard of it. She said, yeah, but Mum, you should know. There's so many shops. Today I was on a bus, which is why I'm in a warm sweater, because it was freezing. It was a campaign for the health authorities, and they wanted like normal looking bus passengers who were wearing masks on the bus, and somebody runs into the bus and he's forgotten his mask and he had to put his mask on. So that's for the National Health Authority as a Corona mask campaign, because like we're orange now, like the rest of the world. So I did that today, and I will get some money for that like at the end of the week.
Nice.
I've also been on a panel program, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So I was in Stockholm filming last week. I've got, what do you call it? I have confidentiality, and I can't talk about it until it's released in December.
All right. Well, as soon as it's released, you need to let me know so I can
I
let everybody know.
Yeah. And then I don't do that many advertisements. Have actually done quite a lot of work with students, film students from different local Copenhagen schools. They have like certain projects, and quite a lot of them are also looking for older people. And then they said, well, you don't really look old enough, but We took you because one of the other students used you last month, and he said you were a really good actress.
Oh,
Which is really sweet.
yeah.
And also because I'm British and speak so nicely, the Danes also asked me to do voiceovers. Originally, voiceovers would have been in Danish, but they feel that English is more international. And because I have native English rather than with a Scandinavian accent, so the films are done without any sound, and then they dub it afterwards, and I do the voiceovers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I did the film I think you saw last week, where I was a glamorous lady in an orange fur coat,
Yeah.
lots of expensive bags,
Yeah.
who
And
then turned out
if
a
you're
bit
not
sad at
watching
the end.
this, that's on the website as well
Yeah.
on the Hip Senior. If you go into under articles, you'll see Penny's picture, and the whole film is right there for you guys to see as well. That was really interesting because I was watching that and I was like, okay, okay. And then it has an interesting twist at the end of it, which we're not going to give away. We're going to make everybody go watch that film. But I was like, okay, that I was taken a little bit aback by that. So I could see how that could possibly be life changing for some people to see something like that as well.
And
So
it was really nice because it was actually a first year student project.
that was
I think
good.
they did
Yeah.
really well. But I must admit, running around in high heeled shoes, carrying Chanel handbags, and going into like fancy, and the heels, they're like 8 centimeters. I have worn them once to a wedding about 5 years ago. And I said, these shoes are okay. I can't walk in them. And then suddenly they were like trying to make me walk down the high street in these heels. And I think you can actually see in the film that I'm wobbling a little bit because I'm just basically like a sort of a Nike sneaker girl most of the time.
Yeah.
Scandinavians are very active, you know.
Yeah, you never designed high heel shoes like when you were working, did you?
Yeah, when I worked for Sasha London, we used to have shoes at the Vegas Fair and everything else. They were up to like 8 or 9 centimeters. They had feathers, they had glitter, they had snake skin, they had diamantes, they had everything on. They were absolutely amazing.
They just weren't
But then I
what
went
you
to
wore.
Scandinavia with cobblestone streets, and nobody really wanted high-heeled shoes at that time because people are biking, people are walking, people don't just look glamorous. It's a
Right.
much more functional society.
I am
So
so moving there.
I went back into doing kids sneakers because that's the job I'd done before for a Korean company for 4 years,
Okay.
and then grew from there. So since then I've been doing mostly functional footwear. I also designed for the States for a company called Sanita that makes clogs.
Yeah.
And I did a collection called Sangria, which was comfort shoes with triple layer insoles, sort of like cloggy designs, but not clogs, with a lot of function instead of real buckles. It had like, what do you call it, touch and close straps, adjustment on the front, all sorts of comfort features. So, but high-heeled stilettos, I wore them when I was 30, but I really struggle these days. They're in the back of my wardrobe.
You know, so many people as they start getting older can have a lot of trouble with shoes like that.
Mm.
I was actually visiting somebody in a rehab facility who, rehab, not drug rehab, but rehab. And
Like physiotherapy rehab.
yes, thank you. And so I was visiting her, and her roommate had to have surgery, and she had pins in her toes for the
Mm.
surgery because of high heels. And she said it's because I've worn high heels all my life, and they had to go in and redo her feet and stuff. And she goes, and when I'm healed, I will go back to wearing high heels again. I'm like, why would you go through all this pain and suffering and stuff to only keep doing that? I don't understand that.
Yeah, but also the front of your leg muscles get stretched, and the back of your leg muscles get shortened. I mean, I wear flats nearly all the time, and if I go ice skating, being only a size US size 6.5, I have to wear women's ice skates. They have a heel. Within about half an hour, I'm crippled because the front of my leg muscles they're
Yeah.
being stretched too much because of the heels.
I'm in the middle of moving, and the other day I saw some boots in my closet that I forgot that I had that I wanted to wear this fall and winter, and I was like, oh, and I looked at them and said, these have a heel. These might be actually good for my arch and stuff for a little bit, and then because I know like a little bit of a heel will help my knees when they're hurting, and I was wearing them around, and after about 15-20 minutes, I was exhausted. I'm like, nope, I'm giving these to Victoria.
Yeah, yeah. And also, you need to wear footwear with stability.
Right.
So, like no slingbacks. I mean, I actually broke my foot a year ago sliding down the stairs in sandals, and my foot twisted. I didn't know it was broken. I just thought it was twisted. So that's another reason not to wear heels. But yeah, I never wear like high heel shoes unless they're like a Mary Jane or they're a boot, and then they hold the front of my foot so it doesn't move around.
Well,
But
guys,
that's me being a boring functional shoe designer.
you've heard it from a shoe designer to quit wearing heels and wear functional shoes.
Well, you can wear heels, just don't wear them every day. And then
Yeah.
being Scandinavia, we don't wear footwear indoors.
See, I know a bunch of
We
people
leave them
here.
at the door.
Yeah, I know someone here in Cincinnati and Dayton that are going to argue that that fact with us, but that's okay. Everybody has to do what they want, but what's good for them, right?
Yeah, and I would never let anybody in stilettos into my flat anyway, because like everybody else, I've got natural wooden floors. And stilettos would absolutely ruin them.
So they have to leave their shoes at the door when they
Because the
come visit.
stiletto like has a 2 ton of weight on the heel.
Never thought of that.
We did it, I think we did it at school when you actually have to measure the pressure.
Okay.
Because it's the amount of area compared with the amount of weight. There's some mathematical solution to it, but it's something like a ton or 2 tons or something that goes on that stiletto heel.
Okay, so the lesson, if you have wood floors, leave your shoes at the door.
Yes. Then you can have some Danish cozy, what they call hygge, sit
Hygge?
around. It's called hygge, Hygge, and that's where people sit around and they have a cozy time and they eat cakes and they maybe drink some mulled wine, and then we have live candles in the house. Look at the fireplace if you have a fireplace.
Penny, warm up your couch for me. I am so coming.
You'd love it here.
Maybe in the summer after I'm done house sitting and then when it warms up a little bit.
Oh, well, we have sunshine from 6 in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night in the summer.
Yeah, we do too. It's crazy. It's like, okay.
But right now it's a bit cold and it's not very nice, but it's not snowing. It's not like people imagine.
Do you get a lot of snow there?
Maybe sometimes in February, but it's not regular. It's not like a ski area. I mean, Denmark is not more than like a few hundred yards above sea level for the whole country. It's just very flat agricultural country where they grow pigs and milk and things.
That's why they ride bikes so much as well too. Not including like gas prices and whatever, but also it's opportune area for bicycling, right?
Yeah, and it's brilliant, especially now with the corona and people not wanting to be on buses and public transport. I mean, I normally bike everywhere if it's up to about 3 or 4 miles in and out of the city centre, but I have a slightly arthritic hip at the moment, so I'm not on my bike, which means I have to get buses, which is why I end up getting lost because I managed to get on the wrong bus number. But yeah, I mean, there's more bikes than cars in Copenhagen now.
You know, I heard because of Corona that I don't know if it's because more people are buying bicycles right now because of Corona. But or if it's harder for America to get parts in from like China and stuff like that for bicycles, that if you go to a shop and try to buy a bicycle right now, it's like a 4 or 5 month wait just to be able to get it. Yeah. I was like, whoa, I better not leave my garage door open because my bike's in my garage. So
a lot of people here are getting electrically assisted bikes. So you just have to pedal a little bit and then the electric motor does the rest of it for you.
Yeah, I imagine here that's hard to find too.
And mothers, of course, because also a lot of mothers have their babies on the back of bikes.
Right.
And the fathers, of course, because we are a equal opportunities group of nations here.
That's awesome.
It's so funny.
Someday we'll catch up.
So I'm quite happy to be living here. It was I'm happy, yeah. And the opportunities and the fun I'm having at the moment. It's really
Yeah. You're just full of it these days, and not in a bad way, not in a bad way, in a really, really good way.
yeah.
And I am just so proud of you that you just did it. I am your attitude, your personality. I mean, everything is just shining through right now. And I hope you keep at it because you're just brilliant. So
But just one thing I'd like to say is it didn't happen overnight. I mean, the therapist saying, what would you really like to do? Because a lot of other people say, I want to travel. Sorry, it's my account, and I'm going to buy a puppy. People say, I want to travel the world. I have traveled the world with my job. And like, what do you really want to do? I think, well, what do I really want to do? I've achieved so much already. And then I said, be a supermodel. And then that must have been back in February. And now it's nearly Christmas.
yeah, well,
And I'm
nothing
not
good
actually
ever
a
comes overnight.
supermodel at all. But I've done film extra work and I've had some amazing photos taken by some really, really good photographers. And now I've started to get much, much more selective. And then I only choose the photographers who I know going to be good. And then I also am very careful about who photographs me and where they photograph me, because I have had some slightly improper suggestions. Like somebody wanted to photograph out in the forest, and I said, oh, that's great, I'd love to photograph out in the forest. And he said, well, how about we meet up at your place? I said, well, we're going to be in the forest. He said, yeah, but it might rain. And then I checked out his website, and then there was really not very good photographs. And then a lot of the photographs were like, couldn't be shown on Facebook. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to get into this one. Because you don't think as somebody of my age that, well, I mean, you keep on hearing about false casters where 25-year-old girls get misled. You don't expect people of my age to get misled, but it does actually happen. So
Well,
I'm
yeah, I mean, look at senior scamming. We just had an interview with the with Ryan Lippy from the Ohio State Attorney's Office, and we were talking about scams and stuff like that. And that's something also to think about, like when seniors are going into like second careers and stuff like
Mhm.
that, for them to make sure that they're not, handing out money in order to get into a second career or into opportunities or
Yeah.
paying for stuff like that. Because if it's really an opportunity that's going to benefit you, you shouldn't have to be paying, thousands of dollars or whatever to get into this stuff. So
It's exactly like me. I mean, there was a lot of websites that said, oh, we can take you as a model. And then I would go into Trustpilot to check them. And then I found out, don't go to this model agency. They just want to take your money. They want you to pay a lot of money for photographs and you never get any jobs.
So are you learning a lot of that information from like groups in Facebook and stuff like that?
Yeah, Facebook groups. And then I check people if I'm going to see anybody for an appointment. I check their phone number, I check their address, I check their website. And it's actually quite easy here to reverse search a telephone number because our society is quite transparent. So I can actually check whether people are what they say they are. But I mean, I've been contacted by people who think that some of these sites are dating sites and not photography sites. So I'm really hard about that. I mean, as soon as that happens, they get reported to the admins. I do screenshots of what they do, and then like, no way, they're going to get blacklisted.
Good for you.
I don't, not for my benefit, but because of
Everybody else too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad that you're being aware of those things, because from what you just said, it could be a dangerous thing if you don't.
Yeah, I'm a person living alone. I don't necessarily want to invite complete strangers into my flat, to do God knows what, and then they suddenly say, oh, you're really beautiful. I thought maybe we should start dating. And that's also had some comments that are also like, how would you feel, like to do some modeling in your underwear?
I would feel like there's the door.
There's the door. No, you're not even going to get my phone number.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's been a learning curve.
Yeah, I imagine so. But you know what? Like I said, you're amazing. I'm great. I'm so
Thank
grateful to
you.
know you, and I'm glad that you've that you're doing this. Like I said, you're a completely different person right now, and I'm just
Yeah.
happy to see the sun shining through you again.
Yeah, I was really depressed a year ago without much work and having to like apply for my pension, and I was struggling and struggling to find work. I thought in the end, I'm going to take my pension anyway, 65, and then I have enough money to live on. And so this is basically a hobby, but I treat it as a business.
And you know what? There are so many people out there. It's like, I think it was, God help me, I can't think of his name. There's a gentleman here in the States who, and I'll put it in the comments below because I know as soon as we disconnect that I will remember his name. That was always asking people, like, well, what did you want to do when you were a kid? What was your answer when you were a kid?
Mhm.
And a lot of them are like, doctors or this or that and whatever. And it's very possible to have a second career and a second life after 50 or after
Yeah.
60. My friend Judy Irwin, she was my neighbor growing up, and she became an attorney at the age of 50, and she worked with family law and mediation for children and stuff like that. She was one of our first senior spotlights for the Hip Senior magazine. And if you don't know her story, go back and read that, because that was a good example of doing something that you really wanted. And I asked her about that, and she said, because she owned a doll shop and she got divorced. She had a doll shop. She had two children. She was a photographer for a bit. She was an attorney. Now she's writing romance novels, and she's working on making one of them become a movie before she dies. She wants to be on the big screen. And so she has been writing some for the magazine, and she just decided to resign that position because she wants to focus solely on getting a book on the big screen, before she dies someday. And that's become her sole focus. And so, you don't have to become a model like Penny. You don't have to write
Just do
great
something
novels.
different.
You don't have to write great novels. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. If your idea of a second career is working in your garden and growing exotic or
Orchids?
thank you. My words have eluded me today, but yeah, but like raising exotic orchids that nobody knows about, or
Hmm.
if it means that you're out there riding your bike all the time. I see seniors on their bikes all the time throughout the neighborhoods and stuff, that are all decked out in their riding gear and everything else, and doing that for a living, or whatever it is that you want to do. Just reach for the stars and do it.
Yeah, one of my friends, her husband, he worked for the telephone company ever since he left college as an engineer. And when he retired, he started doing more and more photography. And now he travels around the world as a photographer,
See, you just
photographing mostly animals and birds and things. And he loves it.
Yeah, we have a friend in common, Peter Tyler.
Yeah, of
Taylor,
course, a
Tyler.
photographer. Shoe dog on the business side of things. I mean, I've gone from creative to creative. He's gone completely the other way, from like being a shoe business person and shoe agent to becoming a semi-professional photographer, doing some really nice stuff.
Yeah, when I was Peter came here to the States when I was working for the shoe company in Portugal. And by the way, I got fired from that for not being pretty enough.
What?
Yeah, that's why they fired me. We were just starting to get rolling because I was the sales rep and the marketing rep for the US and Canada. And we had run some press releases like in Canada, and we were just starting to get some calls in from that and stuff like that. And then Norberto hired this guy from your area, actually. And he deemed that when I went over there that I wasn't pretty enough to sell shoes, and fired me.
That's really
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, you
Yeah.
are pretty. I mean,
And
as well as it not being a relative, like you've got beautiful skin, you're a beautiful woman. It's just, oh
right.
God.
So it was like, but did I
I
let it
can
get me
understand
down?
he'd say, we don't want you to be the job because you don't have the right size feet. Because the company that I worked for in London, one of the buyers was an ex Vogue cover girl based in California with like orange hair down to her waist. Amazing looking. And me, and the other buyer was a blonde from East London, natural blonde, who's also amazing looking. We all had sample size feet.
Yeah, I do not have sample size feet, but that wasn't the reason. I just wasn't pretty enough. So it's kind of like, okay, forget the fact that I have like, history and marketing and everything else, which was my job, so it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But so you just never know though. You try different things and maybe, that job or that career doesn't fit you as well. And you just move on to do different things. I teach senior citizens how to use technology now, and I've started this magazine and I absolutely love it. And every day I'm learning something new. And my first issue was in June and I did it by myself, and I've learned and grown so much. I have a web designer now who's teaching me more about the SEO part of stuff and how to get stuff out there. I know your video that we posted this past week was.
I even had a problem uploading it because I'm not that tech savvy, because it's a very heavy file actually.
Yeah, well, so after I hired Matthias, my SEO has like quadrupled. Like, my views on my website literally have just gone gangbusters. And I know that your video for that was like half of our views. So congratulations on that. And congratulations on doing this. And I hope that you just keep reaching for the stars and you keep doing it, Penny.
Yeah, thanks very much. Now I'm going to go off and make some sourdough bread. Actually, that sounds really achievable, isn't it? Like the last 10 loaves of bread, they weighed about 3 pounds each. They've been like bricks. It's still a learning curve on that side of things.
Hey, at least you're still doing it, right?
I'm still trying to. Yeah.
Penny, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope your bread turns out marvelous.
Thank you very much. I'll give it a go. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
It's my evening now. It's completely dark outside.
Oh.
I think we're about 6 o'clock or something.
Yeah, okay. And it's noon here, so it's winter. That's understandable. All right. Well, enjoy your evening, Penny.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on and sharing your expertise with everybody.
Definitely not my expertise in sourdough bread, I can promise you.
All right. Enjoy. Have a great day.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.